and welcome back to Cat 25 Part 2. Our next guest, Justin G8YTZ, was a BBC engineer for 12 years from 1980 and has also been involved with amateur TV since those early 80s too. In 2019, he went live with GB3JV, an all-digital ATV repeater for South East London. And although that recently lost its site, he now has new NOVs for GB3JT at Detling Hill and GB3OO in Folkestone, and hopes to have a new site for GB3JV very soon. Well, today is going to give an overview of these digital repeater designs, including the new automatic logbook entry system, a design that can easily be deployed to other TV repeater using the RIDE receiver. Now, as always, if you're watching this live on Saturday the 25th of October, feel free to ask questions on the chat or wait for the informal Q&A and social in our ATV packed lunch, which comes straight afterwards at 12:30. But meantime, let's give a warm welcome to Justin. Hello, Justin.
Hello, and nice to meet everyone this morning on, still morning, isn't it, on the stream. Well, as David said, we'll go straight into the presentation. I've got a bit of a live bit at the end as well to actually show how the software works, etc. So, digital ATV designed for Kent, GB3JV, JT and OO. The site for GB3JV, as David said, was lost back in May. And we kind of have a couple of sites in mind, but I'm holding out to hopefully agree what's an absolutely fantastic site, which will give even better coverage than the old site. So if that happens, we're hoping we'll be able to do this sometime in the new year, probably Q2, maybe Q1, but more likely Q2, because the other projects are racking up as well. Since the JV design, I built the difficult parts of GB3JT and GB3OO, and I'll show you those in a few minutes. But software moves on, and so we've done quite a few upgrades, which GB3JV will be getting as well as a retrofit. Right now, all three repeaters at this minute are on the stream. GB3OO is on my G8YTZ stream right now, but the other ones are on their own streams, and all the websites are up and running as well. Simply repeatercallsign.co.uk. Just to show you the GB3JV coverage map, what we hope it will be if we get the site we want. And as you can see, 3.4 gigahertz, some pretty impressive coverage. Should be a very strong signal indeed in that green area. The green area basically means L&B only required in a suitable location. So over to GB3JT. There's the website address up there. So this is a repeater that was located in Hastings. It's been relocated at Detling Hill in Kent. There's a 150-foot high tower that we've got access to, and the room underneath, and that will be having the new version of GB3JV design. It was actually a chance meeting at the National Radio Centre. I was on duty Saturday, and David Williams, who was the keeper of GB3JT, came in. We're talking about it, and yeah, he was looking for some help. So here I am. So some help on there. The repeater build is 80% complete. Basically, just about everything but the RF is completed. Websites, the whole lot, all the back end integration, it's all done. Network's done. And we expect to be complete with that in November. The receive antennas I've got, the transmit antenna, I'm expecting, it's in transit from Netherlands right now. I'm expecting to have that Monday or Tuesday next week. So if we can, we'll go live in Q4. It's a bit weather dependent, so it might actually move over. It's all about the antennas in that respect. And then we'll talk about the coverage quickly. Now, what's interesting, you might have noticed that the coverage gets to Gillingham but not to Gravesend, but JV will cover Gravesend easily. And you'll notice a gap in Canterbury there. Well, that's where GB3OO comes in. So GB3OO, it's an ex-ambulance site located near Panelsworth in Kent, which is actually the second highest point in Kent after Rootham. and it's just 3 miles northwest of Folkestone. I was actually approached by the Black Sheep contesting group to say they bought this site and would I be interested in putting a repeater on it. And so I said, think about that. I'll get you back in a couple of weeks. Or did I say, yes, straight away. Again, transmit antenna going to the top of a 100-foot tower on the second highest point in Kent. And the repeater design's an exact copy of the OO repeater, and I'll show you this in a minute because it literally is down to the last screw identical. The repeater build, of course, is 80% complete. I built it immediately after the NOV came in. And the RF sections, that's the bit that has only just started construction. TX antenna is under construction right now. Bert Moderman, who built the one for JT and JV, actually, he's prioritising the OO antenna after that. And then I've got some filters coming as well, which I need. So we're looking for go live 2026. But to be honest, the biggest delay will be getting the antenna rigged, and we have a professional rigger down there. So I think we could come forward on that. It's all down to the antenna delivery for that. And guess what? There's the coverage. So we've got Canterbury covered there, and you can probably see the 3 repeaters. If I overlaid them, which I haven't done, but if I overlaid them, we would pretty much have blanket coverage of everything north of Tunbridge Wells up to about Croydon, and then obviously into East London, etc. as well. So that's the hope. We can get some good coverage to anyone who wants to do amateur television in Kent, northwest Kent, southeast London, East London will be able to do it with a local repeater. Just going to quickly show you the controller rack. The bottom row there, you'll see the 3 Raspberry Pis in a rack mount chassis, case chassis, which I've used before from a local company. Above that, you have the networking equipment. It's a Unify UCG on the left, and on the right, PoE switch there as well. Above that, in the next silver rack, is the Nook. It's a Chinese Nook, which I've had very good success with these things before. Obviously, power distribution. And that pull-out drawer, which isn't lucky it's handled right now, I've got a handle, I haven't screwed it on yet, contains the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro, and the receiver, the 2-meter receiver, talkback receiver, and above that, in that shelf there, you can see a mini tuner as well. Say the 3 Raspberry Pis are media player, stream receiver, and the 77 receiver for that. Right, network overview. So all the repeaters are networked using SD-WAN technology and Unify hardware. VPN access to the whole network, of course, directly from my home and other family homes, actually. We use Modbus TCP RTU device. It provides a remote dashboard, allowing remote shutdown and performance and alerting and monitoring, what have you, SWR and things like return loss and things like that. And all the repeaters are sat on a UPS to isolate against any short power outages, which, out in the sticks you can get this. We never had any problems like that at Petswood, but it's a very stable power around here. But we still had a UPS on that, and we never had any issues relating to power because of that. So the network, just quickly go through. That's the SD-WAN. You can see the repeaters: GB3JT, JV. Honeywood, which is my father's house, because I look after some of his IT remotely. My house at Lewiston, which is a bit more complicated. It's the UDM Pro unifying there. Newlands, which is my daughter's new house, which has been another project from in last year. And then GB3OO at the bottom. So that's the network. And if we just look at one particular, I think that's GB3JT, that one. Yes, it is, it's JT. You can see the firewall there and the devices on that network. We can look at those live later on. And not forgetting telephony. So I found it very useful to have a landline at these sites, and I've got an Asterisk server at home. So I've bought a couple of new old stock obsolete SNOM 320s to put down there, and that's working very well. So we've got the whole family on an internal phone system as well. and the repeater sites. So we talk about the receivers now. So I'm rushing through this bit because I want to spend a bit more time on the live part. So the RF and stream receiver is a modified ride with mini tuner in the case of the RF receiver. The 77 receiver chains the big wheel antenna, interdigital filter after that, preamplifier, and a SAW filter and the mini tuner. And that has been a superbly well engineered receive system. Even the noise of southeast London found it very successful. The SAW filter is very successful at getting rid of commercial television and, in our case, Crystal Palace, which is an enormous signal off the big wheel. 9 miles as the crow flies, on top of a tower at one end and a high building at the other end. Stream receiver, again, is a modified ride. I'll talk about the modifications later. And a talkback receiver is a QYT KTWP12. Now, if you've not seen these, they're a little die-cast box, about smaller than a Nook, actually, a little bit bigger than a Raspberry Pi in a case. And they're pretty good. And the great thing about them is they haven't got a front panel. It's just a die-cast box. And everything's done through the speaker mic. And there's a screen on the speaker mic and the buttons, etc. But of course, what it does do is it gives you a line output audio from the microphone connector. And that's very useful for feeding into the ATEM, one of the ATEM's analog inputs. In the design, we have a 2-meter receivers, Diamond X30, interdigital filter, preamp, SAW filter, same arrangement. And we've allowed in the design for a second stream receiver to support networking of 3 repeaters, or another, not so much, I'm thinking a ride, perhaps a NUCA to do DVB-T reception on 2 meters using the vertical 2-meter antenna. The reason for that is a lot of people have verticals for 2 meters, but they don't have horizontal antennas. So it may actually potentially create some more experimenting where people try 2-meter ports down with an amplifier. So that's the thought there, but that's a later plan. We can do that next year. So the controller. So on the design, the video switching, transitions, digital on-screen graphics, lower thirds, picture-in-picture, output streaming, and all these are supported by the Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Pro. They're around about £260 now, including VAT. But it's a lot of product, and enables you to do lots and lots of cool things. It also has an API to control it with. The media player is based on G0GUI's PyDeck software, and the PyDeck software supports API integration of the ATEM and Bitfocus Companion, which is the software we use for the controller. And that's really, really useful, as will become apparent soon. The repeater controller functions are all performed by Bitfocus Companion. It's open source software running on a Windows 11 Nook PC on site. It's actually a Celeron. Doesn't have to be particularly powerful. And we also, through this software, by emulating a Stream Deck, we can perform remote control actions via the public web port or control panel, which I'll show you later. So rather than using DTMF and all that whole tech, we do it through the web portal. Also running on the Windows PC is VLC, and VLC is just there for one function, and that is for the audio announcements. And guess what? That integrates with Bitfocus Companion. So that's another nice. It has lots and lots of plugins, Bitfocus, and we can use all these to talk to all sorts of things. So we talk about this modified ride. It's pretty simple to modify. It's a bit of code. So in a standard ride receiver, the lock indication when a signal is received causes a GPIO pin to go low, and which in the case of our repeaters, in the implementation we use the URL lib library in Linux, and to send a command to Bitfocus Companion software, which in turn triggers a Blackmagic ATEM transition macro to select the appropriate input. So magic buttons, magic fingers. So at the same time, the ATEM also starts a session recording So it actually records the transmission, and then members can access that later. It's publicised to Microsoft OneDrive, synced every 2 or 3 hours to Microsoft OneDrive, so you can go back and look at your recordings. And we keep them. We've kept them all since 2022 when we started this on GB3JV. When lock is lost, of course, when the transmission ends, another webhook is sent to the companion to return the repeater to the media player and end the session recording. And so I'll show you all that. The possibility also exists to send webhooks to other network repeaters. So, for example, if you have a repeater is suddenly in use, then there's no reason why we shouldn't tell the other repeaters to take the stream from the repeater that's in use and show that input. So if you access one repeater, all 3 repeaters light up with your output. Now there's some new features in Bitfocus Companion which allow us to do that sort of thing, but the coding's fairly, or the logic's fairly complex to work out, so that's got to be thought, what do we do if someone's already using the repeater, etc. So a lot of what ifs, and I've got to sit down and do a big flow diagram. But right now the priority is getting these things on the air, so that's a later session. But it's the beauty of software control. You can do all this stuff. You can sort of, if you put the base architecture in place, you can then come back and think, oh, we could do this or we could do that, and people come up with ideas and say, oh, how about this, and we've done it. So that's the idea. Now to the automatic logbook. Now this is a recent thing. Now Tom van der Bon initially helped with this, and a friend of mine who I've known for a very, very long time, Tim North, he's lapsed, I think, but G8 SXR. We've known each other since sort of teenagers and stuff, but he's really good on coding, and he looked at this and looked at the ride, and with a bit of help from Dave and Tim, we produced this automatic logbook function, and it basically populates the QRZ.com logbook with an entry that includes the mode, signal strength, station ID, and MER. We pull that all off the inbound signal, of course. We also send a Slack notification to the user group showing the user's call sign. So you get a notification on Slack saying, the 70 centimeter input is in use or something, and it's G8YTZ or whatever. So you get that as well. So that's been proven to design to drive usage of the repeater as well. And someone sees someone's on, they have a look at it and think, oh, I'll come up as well and have a chat with them as well. Bitfocus also sends its own Slack link to the group, which that's basically to the stream URL. And that was actually Roger Meakin's idea, and he said, "Oh, what about a link?" So when you get the Slack notification, you get the link, you click on the link, and your VLC pops up with the repeater stream, even if you're out and about on your mobile. So it works well. Obviously, if you a received web stream doesn't contain any call sign information, so we only send the latter notification, not the call sign, just to say the stream inputs in use. And of course we can't log that either for obvious reasons, but there again, it's not RF, so we need to log it. Okay, so let's go through very quickly how we actually modify the ride to do this. Well, the first thing you need to do is on your QRZ profile, assuming you've got one, you need to create an entry as a managed, a managed logbook or a managed call sign for your repeater. So on the logbook settings page, so once you've done that, you then go to the logbook page, and on the logbook settings page, you'll see there's an API key. Now you do need to, you do need, of course, to have an API subscription for this, which is not very expensive. I just pay for it for 5 years at a time. Was it 10 years? I can't remember. It's not very much money. It's well worth it because I use it for lookup on Ham Radio Deluxe when I put log entries in. The other thing I haven't done yet, which I'm going to do, is potentially sync this with Logbook of the World. But the other bit on top of that, the other possibility exists to perhaps create spots as well for amateur TV usage on repeaters. So that's another thought. Again, it's probably more like 2027 actually, because I've got so many other things on my plate. Unless anyone fancied coding it. Anyway, so back on the repeater logbook page, you'll see at the bottom some code. Add this logbook as an iframe to your repeater's website, which we've done that. So we've got a recently heard page on last heard page on the repeater website, so you can see who last used the repeater. Now, if you create a free Slack account, an application of an inbound webhook, that's quite straightforward, and that information is all on Slack and YouTube. You don't need to tell you that. But the unique webhook, you can add that in as well, and the webhook will then again tell the user group that the person who's using the repeater as well. So that's useful to have as well. So that can all do. Basically, it's two files. There's one file that's made for you to put into your RIDE, and there's one other small modification which we'll talk about now. So on the RIDE receiver, there's a file I can send you called webhook.py, and you just pop that in the RIDE player folder, and then you've got 4 lines to modify just for your own API key, repeater call sign, and your own Slack webhook URL. In your RIDE player states playback.py file, you've just got to add the line at the top of the file, import URL library request. That's the URL webhook library. So it's simple as that. Now we're going to add another function which is going to basically change the way we detect lock. Rather than just simply detecting lock and having all the problem of false locks, we're going to use this technology to discover a valid call sign and then do the switch. And the nice thing about that is you could actually exclude people if you wanted to. So that's another thing, or limit the access to a defined user group. So that there's possibilities if it ever needed something like that. So let's have some practical demonstrations in that case. Let's go into our source here, which I'm going to need to look at the program output in big scale here and get myself, where's my, right, what's happened here? Indeed, what's happened here? Oh dear. Don't you know it? Don't you know it? my Linux machine's crashed. Oh, fantastic. How can that be? Been sat there all morning working perfectly okay. So let's just reboot that up. Well, you couldn't make it up, will you? If something's going to go wrong, it will go wrong. It's just been sat there, been using it, testing it, and it's literally fallen over for some reason. So there we go. So let's talk amongst ourselves while the machine boots up, and then we'll go back to where we were. It means I'm going to have to. Where's that happened? It does happen very, very occasionally, but it's decided to happen today.
Don't worry too much, Justin. Maybe a good reminder to everyone at home, if you do want to ask any questions, and while this is rebooting, that might be a good time as well. But you've got any time now before about 12 to ask questions of Justin, and I'll read as many of them to him as I can. Looks like your machine is almost there now, Justin.
Yes, it's quite fast at booting up, thank goodness. I just need to get the right I don't want that one, and I don't want that one particularly. That's the one I want. Yeah, it doesn't take too long to boot up. Here we go. It's just unfortunately just changes the. There we go. Let's hope everything. So very quickly, this is the network. This is GB3JT's network that we showed you. So we got complete control over the network topology and what have you, all managed online. I mentioned the recording feature as well. So this is the link you get when you go to the website and log on to the website. You get the link and you can go back and watch all the recordings. And so we go back to 2022 on GB3JV. Now the logbook. Here we are. This is the logbook of GB3JV, and you can see what we're populating it with. So we got this goes back to May, just before the repeater shutdown. I think Roger was the last person in there. Shows you the exact frequency, or shows you the difference between frequency of different transmissions, and it's quite interesting because if someone pops up, you can tell what equipment they're using by the frequency. Then shows you the mode there, their grid, of course, which comes from their logbook entry, and this is their lookup on QRZ. And then in the comments section, we've put a few more things there: the bearing, distance, and the signal strength, all coming from the RIDE receiver in there. If we go to the website now and we look at the logbook page here, there we go. You see an abridged version of last seen, as opposed to last heard. The other websites all up and running. Now this page here, we've got a similar page. I'm not going to JV actually, repeater control portal, and what you have there when we go to that page, there's a second sign-in for this you need, and what you have is the ability to do picture-in-picture. So if you've got somebody, you have 70SEM in the picture-in-picture and stream being the main frame, or vice versa, or 23SEM or 23SEM and 70. So you've got a few options there. You can send a Slack notify to say there's a net in progress. And the idea with this is you can have a net controller actually, in the picture-in-picture and bring other people into that. So it's a bit of fun there as well. This is the link to the session recordings. Once you're logged in and you hit that, and you get that other page I just showed you as well. It's exactly the same for the sites for GB3JT and also GB3OO, and this is all operational and tested and working. Now I'm going to show you Bitfocus Companion. This is the interesting bit. So on the left here, this is version 4, so things have changed slightly, but you have the integration with Blackmagic Design, the ATEM, the Hyperdeck, which is our Pi deck I mentioned. It's not actually a Hyperdeck, it's a Pi deck that looks like a Hyperdeck, but the software only costs you £45 plus a Pi, a lot cheaper than buying the Blackmagic box. Slack I mentioned as well, and VLC, and I say that really triggers the announcements. Now let's go into surfaces. And you'll see we've produced an emulator for the Stream Deck and customized that, and it's that emulator which is used to provide the remote portal through a reverse proxy to the website. So that's how that works. We use what's it called now? I can't remember now. Anyway, we use a reverse proxy running on a Pi for that, sitting at my house here. Now the next thing, when we look at buttons, I'll show you this. These are all the buttons that make the repeater work, and each of these buttons has a webhook, and this is what when you detect a lock on a receiver, this is what the Pi does. It presses one of these buttons. K is the end of transmission, 70SEM stream, what have you, and if you look at what happens, if we look at the 70SEM input, you'll see that the initial action is to make sure the keys are off. That's all the graphics are off. Then we set the upstream key. We set the upstream key off, downstream key off. Then we run a macro, and that basically on the ATEM does all the clever graphics and switches to that input. Okay, there's a wait for a couple of seconds, and then VLC does a voiceover, and the voiceover welcomes you to the repeater, and there's a wait there because there's a wait there, and Slack also sends the GB3JT web stream at the address, so that drives people to just be able to click on that link, and then we have another wait, and the ATEM recording starts. We allow 3 seconds when we start recording, and that's basically what that button does. And essentially the ride presses that button, and they're the other buttons you can see here. So that's essentially how that works. The other important thing is the triggers. This is basically the RoboJock that controls the media players. So 1 a.m. we basically, if we look at that is basically voiceovers 1 p.m. or 1 MP3, and that is actually, and it runs a chime as well, and that's basically VLC that's doing that. And then if we go into on the top of the hour, we also put up a logo with the Kent horse in this instance on this repeater, and then during the rest of the day there's test cards and music, etc. And that's how it tells the hyperdeck to go off and play it, etc., etc. So that's basically a schedule that runs the media player, and this is all free open source software. Okay. And by the way, that's the page that gets presented onto the web portal via the reverse proxy. Now, what I'll do now is I'll show you. Let's get rid of this one. I don't need this one. Let's get rid of that one. That's okay. This is where the reboot didn't help me much. But if we go into documents, get 25. I was going to tell you about these files, and these are specially sanitized, so all my secrets aren't in there. But if you look at your playback.py file, basically it's a standard playback.py file off the ride, and this is the line you need to put in: import URL library request. Okay, so that's that bit. Very quickly, when in this area it is runs the GPIO pin to detect lock and signal the transmission. So what we have here is we do a post request. So this is basically telling to press button 1 on the left. Okay, and at the end of transmission we do a similar thing here, but we press button 3, which you might remember from those buttons is the K button, which puts everything back. So that's and then we do a different display text as well. We just put the website and the input, etc. in there as well. So that's really how the instead of using GPIO, we just use a webhook in there. So that's just cover that file quickly. If I open the webhook.py file, this is the new file, and so there's a few few things to change on this one, which I'll just bring this up on my other screen quickly, and I'll tell you what they are. Here we are. So on line 29, we have our post URL put into there. This is the one provided by Slack for Slack notifications. On line 89, you've got something to change here, which is basically you might want to change the message so it says GB3 whatever you are, 77 input is active, or whatever input it is, and followed by the call sign that's been pulled up from the incoming stream. So you obviously want to change that call sign in there. Then line 127 is the one where you this is the logbook entry, and obviously you want to log it to the correct logbook, and the one that's got your API key from qrz.com, and that's what the API key looks like from qrz.com. You put that in line 134, and that basically is it. You can do this to any ride basically. The only other requirement you have, of course, is an internet connection to the site. But if you haven't got an internet connection, this doesn't use a lot of bandwidth. You might as well just get a cheap SIM card and a router thing. These are quite good. These are available. This is actually VPN server and everything. This is a go back to my main camera feed here, which is number 3. Let's go and show you this in a bit more detail. This is a USR IoT box from AliExpress, and this is a 4G modem. It's got internet. It can actually act as a backup. You can loop through it as well. It's got all the bits on the side. Very nice little box. This actually provided the streaming for GB3JV until we put the 5.8 gig link in back to my house. So they're really good little things. I'll show you this QIT thing quickly. This is a 2-meter receiver. It's these things. It's actually allegedly waterproof, but there's the multi-pin connector. I think it's pin 4. You've got the audio on it, the audio output, and of course it just run off a little power supply. You're not transmitting on it. And this is when you set it up, you initially set it up with this. In our case, CTCSS. Set it up with this, and then you can unplug that, and the thing remembers itself. I left GB3 unplugged for GB3JV unplugged for 3 months, and turned on. It was all remembered all its settings and everything. So that was another useful thing to do. I'll put this over here. It might fall off and damage my porcelain floor. We wouldn't want that. Right. What I'm going to do now, very quickly, before I finish, is I'm going to show you. Let's get this right. That's it. I need to. What I'm going to do is going to switch over to GB3JV, okay, which is that one. So let's switch over to GB3JV. You should still be able to hear me. Well, you won't be able to hear me over the test card and music, of course, but nevertheless, let's go back to JV. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my iPhone to stream into the repeater, so you can actually see what happens when we stream in.
Hello. The GB3JV web stream input.
So that's just
Your session is being recorded.
To the web stream. Okay, so that's just the hopefully you've heard all that. And I'm just going to pop outside to the hall and show you a repeater, a real live repeater. And I'm just going to pop out. So this is GB3OO, just sitting in my hallway at the minute under test, much to my wife's delight. And you can see all the lights flashing and everything, and it working away doing its repeater functions. This section up here is all for the RF, which is not in there yet. It will be soon. Here's my beautiful Pico tuner with the cases, quick plug for those, and of course the telephone on top of the repeater. Back in the study, which I've got loads and loads of stuff in here. Here's the other one. This is GB3JT. Again, it's doing its stuff, and all the complicated stuff is done. So I'm going to now just hand back quickly. You'll get the music again because we haven't had time with this test card music. I'm going to stop this transmission, and I'm going to stop this transmission. And where are we? Oh dear, it seems to have gone off the screen. Never mind. Oh, end. There we go. There we go. Oh dear, it seems to have gone off the screen. Never mind. Oh, end. There we go. There we go.
Goodbye. 73s and 88s. Goodbye. 73s and 88s. Da-dee-da.
And there we go, a quick demonstration of what the repeater looks like. I say the music is it just happens to be test card of music at that time. So yeah. Anyway, I think we're just about done, and I'm thinking of putting a little BATC article for CQTV together to explain how to do all this, but there's a quick overview of the new logbook functionality which we developed earlier in the year, must have been up to March, so I think we've been testing it really well, and then we lost the site, which was a bit of a shame, but we're implementing all repeaters. Okay, that's that, I think.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Justin. A real good luck. You're very brave doing a live demo like that, Blue Peter style, but they record that now, you know. Anyway,
I believe it crashed, but anyway.
Well, no, that's
Linux
just
PC.
That's just what happens. We've only got a couple of minutes really before we start our informal lunch session. Although if you and others are joining that, we hope you will via Zoom. Starts in about 5 minutes' time. Then you'll be able to ask questions of Justin and talk to all sorts of other people as well. But we've got one comment for you here. Andrew M1DNS says, Justin, not so much a question, more a showing of interest. He's not a Slack user, but a long-time user of Telegram. Could be something we look at in the new features we're adding to GB3NQ.
There's no reason why you shouldn't use Telegram in the same way, or many other products. The reason I use Slack is because a lot of people seem to have it already, and I was familiar with its use. And I tend to think if we're going to do this across the board, then maybe if everyone stuck to Slack, we could all just subscribe to their feeds. But you know, it's obviously your decision how you approach it.
Okay, thank you. M8MDJ says, interesting to see Slack is still in use because they use Discord these days.
Yeah, well, Slack, I would say I was doing a, I was also, the other thing about Slack is they're still in use. It's the darling of Californian tech companies. And I was working for a large Californian tech company that makes mobile phones and lots of other services. And they introduced Slack within the business. And I mean, to be honest, it's internet relay chat. It's nothing more than that with a fancy front end. But the documentation is good on the website. But there's no reason you can use any method of notification that supports a webhook. It's kind of your decision, but I tend to think if everyone did the same thing, we could do it all with one app. But no, your shout.
Yeah, I must say it's brought back memories for me to see a test card again, really, because we don't often see test cards nowadays. Certainly not on real TV, as it were, because they're just transmitting and broadcasting all the time, aren't they? Lots of other little comments for you. They're all compliments, really. I won't read one of them out, but Nigel Reeve says, what a good presentation. Thank you, Justin. Tim G4LOH says also, thank you very much. And
thanks, Tim.
Andy MUX says, can't wait for the OO install, Justin.
I bet.
And also...
Yes, I can't either.
And Jen G4HIZ, looking forward to the new Kent repeaters. Jen will be joining us later on as well for one of the talks. And Gareth G4XAT, our chairman, of course, says 10 out of 10 for a live demo. I agree with that. It's very brave of you to do that. Justin, thank you.
I can't believe that thing crashed.
It's
all
right.
I really can't.
Especially if I've got several friends who just believe Linux should run the world. So that's a shame it happened to Linux. Because they'd be mortified. I expect you are, really. But anyway, thank you so much. There is one very quick question we can get in. Rob PA1EMT, are there any problems with DATV stream delay? But I'm not sure if I'm not sure the context of that. If he's asking if there's a problem, what we're doing now, or can you take that?
Yeah, all I can suggest is, the answer is yes, you can have problems. I know our friends in Australia have issues, but we use the Blackmagic output on these repeaters, and it's worked very well over the last few years. All I can suggest is you go onto the streamer on the BATC website. You can see all three repeaters there. The only one which is slightly not right is the OO is actually using G8YTZ.com. at the minute. Sorry, it's using the G8YTZ stream on the BATC website. It's using my personal one, but JV and JT have both got their own pages and streams. But take a look at the websites as well. If you fancy signing up, you can also join the Slack group, or just keep up to date with what's going on the repeaters. The remote portal, I am restricting that access at the minute to just a few people, because it's kind of, I had it in beta for a while, but it's going to come into its own when we start doing nets and but yeah, no, just to have a look and see. I would, and if you sign up, you can, welcome to stream in as well. You get the stream key when you sign up.
Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Justin, for this. Thank you for your questions and comments as well at home, and compliments as well.